Imagine a world where your genetic code is no longer a fixed lottery, but an editable document. What if fixing a fatal disease was as simple as running a spell check on your DNA? What if choosing your child's eye color or even their cognitive potential became a menu option instead of a biological gamble? This is not the distant future of science fiction. This is the reality that technologies like CRISPR-Cas9 have placed squarely on our doorstep. But we are not here to talk about the current laborious process. We are asking the far more profound question: what if human DNA editing became trivially easy, instantaneous, and perfectly safe if manipulating the fundamental blueprints of life were as simple as cutting and pasting text in a word processor? The world would not just change, it would shatter and reform into something completely unrecognizable. The stakes are everything: our health, our society, and the very definition of what it means to be human. For decades, genetic editing was the realm of clunky, inefficient tools. But the advent of CRISPR-Cas9 changed the game. It is a molecular pair of scissors that allows scientists to target specific sequences of DNA with unprecedented accuracy. Right now, it is still complex, it is expensive, and the ethical guidelines are fiercely debated. But let us assume the hypothetical leap. Assume the technology matures past its infancy, becoming cheap, accessible, and 100% reliable. We are talking about a world where genetic modifications happen not just in specialized labs, but potentially even in community clinics. This ease of access unlocks two revolutionary doors. The first door is the utopian promise of radical eradication. Think of the 7,000 or so identified Mendelian diseases, conditions caused by a single faulty gene. Cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, Tay-Sachs disease. In the easy editing scenario, these conditions would cease to exist within a generation. They would become historical footnotes like smallpox. But the potential goes far beyond simple diseases. What about the complex polygenic diseases, conditions influenced by hundreds of genes like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, or Alzheimer's? If we could fine-tune those hundreds of genetic levers, we could dramatically extend the healthy human lifespan, perhaps even eradicating natural aging altogether. The second door is enhancement. This is where medicine transforms into augmentation. If we can remove the bad genes, why stop there? Why not optimize the neutral ones? We could engineer superior immune systems, making us resistant to all known viruses and bacteria. We could enhance neuroplasticity, boosting memory retention, problem-solving skills, and creativity far beyond current biological limits. This isn't just about fixing broken parts, it is about installing entirely new high-performance hardware. Imagine a baseline human intelligence that dwarfs the greatest minds of our current era. This capability would fulfill the wildest dreams of transhumanists, a rapid self-directed acceleration of human evolution. It is a future free of suffering, a world where biological limits are nothing more than adjustable parameters. It sounds perfect, does it not? But the second we move from fixing illness to choosing upgrades, we cross the Rubicon into the realm of profound ethical complication. This is the great ethical earthquake. The scientific community draws a massive distinction between somatic editing and germline editing. Somatic editing affects only the individual being treated. It stops with them. Germline editing, however, makes changes to the DNA of egg, sperm, or early embryos. These changes are heritable, they are passed down to all future generations. They become permanent fixtures in the human gene pool. When editing becomes easy, fast, and cheap, germline editing becomes inevitable, and this is the direct path to the rise of designer babies. The temptation for parents will be overwhelming. Who would willingly choose not to give their child every possible advantage, even if that advantage is genetically engineered? Initially, the choices might be benign, like eliminating the predisposition for baldness or guaranteeing excellent eyesight. But the market would quickly move to cognitive traits and physical aesthetics. The moment we allow the market to decide the traits of our children, we stop practicing medicine and start practicing genetic consumerism. This ease of modification introduces to massive philosophical problems. First, what is the role of chance or natural variation in our species? Should we eliminate biological diversity in favor of some platonic ideal of perfection? The very traits we often valorize, resilience, empathy, struggle, often arise from imperfection and overcoming limits. If we eliminate those limits, do we eliminate the human spirit? Second, and far more immediately dangerous, is the inevitable societal disruption this technology guarantees. If DNA editing is easy, it will still not be free, or at least the most advanced. Patented upgrades will not be free. The result is the greatest disparity the human race has ever faced, a massive genetic gap. Wealthy individuals and powerful nations would be the first to adopt the enhancements, ensuring their children possess superior cognitive, physical, and immunological traits. Meanwhile, the poor or those in developing nations would be left with the unedited, standard-issue human genome. This is not just inequality in wealth or opportunity, this is biological segregation. The difference between the genetically enhanced elite and the natural baseline population would soon be comparable to the difference between Homo sapiens and an earlier hominid ancestor. We would effectively create two distinct human subspecies, the edited and the unedited. The consequences for democracy and social cohesion would be devastating. How do you maintain equality of rights when one group is demonstrably and biologically superior in intelligence or health? If economic success is increasingly tied to genetic quality, the genetic gap would become a self-perpetuating biological caste system. Social mobility would be frozen by biological destiny. Furthermore, the easy availability of editing fundamentally changes the concept of parenting. Instead of loving and accepting the child you receive, parents might start viewing their offspring as a product to be optimized, a reflection of their own socioeconomic status. The pressure to edit would be immense, perhaps even becoming a societal expectation or requirement to maintain competitiveness. This brings us to the ultimate question of sovereignty. Do we have the right to determine the trajectory of human evolution? For 3 billion years, evolution has operated via natural selection, a blind, chaotic process of adaptation to environment. Genetic editing is the moment we seize the wheel and declare ourselves the intelligent designers of our own future. Is this hubris or destiny? Proponents argue that since we already intervene in evolution through medicine, vaccinations, and public health, we are simply using a superior, more targeted tool. Critics, however, warn that by editing the germline, we are making irreversible choices for billions of future humans who have no voice in the matter. We must consider the possibility of unintended consequences. The complexity of the genome is vast. We might edit a gene for superior memory only to inadvertently cause a deficiency in emotional regulation or social bonding. Easy editing does not negate the intricate interconnectedness of our biology. Small changes in one area could cascade into unforeseen crises in another. The ease of DNA editing offers humanity a breathtaking choice. We could eliminate suffering, ensure longevity, and reach new pinnacles of cognitive power. But that potential comes with a terrible price: the risk of creating a genetically stratified society, the erosion of genetic diversity, and the ultimate responsibility of choosing what traits are worthy of survival and what should be engineered out of existence. If the technology becomes easy, accessible, and ubiquitous, we're forced to confront who we are and who we wish to become. We would move from passively evolving to actively authoring our own species. The question is not if we can edit ourselves, but whether we are wise enough to handle the power of creation without destroying our common humanity in the process.